The IBF middleweight title has been vacant ever since Marvin Hagler was stripped of the crown. Coming up next on Sports World, Michael the Silk Elijah Day faces Olympic gold medalist Frank Tate for that IBF middleweight crown. Marv Albert and the fight doctor Ferdy Pacheco with the call from Las Vegas.
Dr. Pacheco's really moving around. He was in the boudoir of Elijah Day the other day. Did you see those promos?
No, but I read about it in the Inquirer.
I didn't get that issue yet.
They start up a wave at Tiger Stadium, and this is one of the first places where it hit in terms of baseball. They were doing it like crazy during that Bless You Boys season of 1984. Straker walked the first two men he faced in the first inning, but got out of it. Stranding runners at first and third by striking out Notes. Now Lemon starts it and takes a ball.
Sal Butera still trying to get Straker down in the strike zone. When he comes down a little bit too far, a little too off. So he's not yet in a rhythm or in a pattern. Still having trouble. You can see Butera saying, keep the left shoulder in. You're opening up, the arms dragging.
Lemon, Bergman, and Brookins in the second. Up the middle and speared on a great play by Straker.
That's a great scouting report I gave you, wasn't it? Not known as a good fielder. He just made an outstanding play. Grass may have slowed it down a little bit, but it didn't matter. That glove darted out there. So perhaps all the fungal work with pitching coach Dick Such, rifling fungal balls off the turf back at him, has paid off.
Here's Bergman, had a sacrifice fly as a pinch hitter in game one. Hit .273 for the season. Well off the line at third base. Not as far as for Evans.
You know, about not to belabor the point about the home plate, the cockeyed home plate, but really it can affect the way a hitter stands in the batter's box.
How so?
Well, if you know as a hitter, because sometimes batters' boxes are drawn out of line. You usually figure the home plate is true because that's where they put in first to measure the dimensions, second base, and they work around that. If you're a visiting player and you set your stance up according to the inner edge of the plate, you could be off somewhat because your feet are set to it. If you're a home player, you know what to do with them. So I don't think it's as much an advantage of a pitcher hitting corners, but it could affect the stance of a batter in the box, which could throw them all out of kilter.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Butera with the sign and Straker back to work. Change up, he reaches for it, and that will drop untouched in foul ground. To give you an idea of the kind of upset that might be brewing if the Twins pull this off, not counting the strike season of '81, prior to this year, when the Twins won '85, there have been 7 division winners with fewer than 90 victories. Only 1 has advanced to the World Series. This one is hit in the shallow left. Gladden drops the shades and makes the catch. However, Sparky Anderson was the victim. The only time a team with fewer than 90 victories won the playoff. The Mets of 1973, a huge underdog, upset his Big Red Machine. And the Mets went on to the World Series and almost beat Oakland, but lost in 7. A ball to Brookins. One and one. bouncer that's over Straker. Charging in is Gagne. Quick release. Got him. So 2 are complete at Tiger Stadium. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
On Sunday to
the Enterprise is from Pompano Beach, Florida, as is its captain today, Drew Marshall.
If you hear us, tilt your wings.
The ballpark on the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, Tiger Stadium, as we move to the 3rd. Brunansky to start it, followed by Lombardozzi and Butera. And a ball inside. And these whistles are making me feel like I'm standing in the middle of Grand Central Station.
After you lose this job, you can always become a traffic cop.
Need something to fall back on.
You can see how the pitching pattern in this ballpark has changed from the first 2 games. Terrell has been boring the ball inside on a lot of these Twins right-handed hitters. He's already broken a couple of bats. They've become a little bit of a straightaway hitting ball club, which is effective in the Dome, not so effective here. We're going to try and force him to pull the ball and get the ball on the ground to the left side of the diamond.
We mentioned Terrell's home record of 13-2. Brett Saberhagen beat him here in April. Mike Witt and the Angels beat him here in May. And since then, he's won 11 consecutive Tiger Stadium decisions. The loss to Witt and the Angels is kind of significant, in that at that point, the Tigers were 11-19. That was their lowest ebb. Since then, they played around .660 baseball and roared back to win the American League East. The 2-2 pitch to Brunansky. Tigers trying to do what they did last weekend. They'd like to win all 3 here at Tiger Stadium. They did it against the Blue Jays to cap off their comeback in the divisional race. Another 2-2 pitch. Came down sidearm, and the count is full.
Most of the time when he drops down from the side, he's done it with the breaking ball and the fastball 3 times in this ball game that I can recall. He's trying to throw the ball into the strike zone. To right-handed hitters, keep the ball middle of the plate away, but especially away. When they give and they bail out, they may be more likely to swing a bad pitch.
They wanted to check down at first with Al Clark to see if Brunansky swung. He did not. It's ball 4. The second walk given up by Terrell.
That's a pretty potent hitter to be hitting down in your 7th spot in the lineup, a guy like Brunansky. And really, the fabulous 4, as they call them, the big guys have done some damage, but the little guys have done a lot more. Laudner with a big base hit driving in 2. Bush with 2 stolen bases back there. Gladden, who has triggered a couple of things. So you focus too much on the big guys who you know are going to get their hits. You can forget about the little guys.
But all of the big 4 have had at least 1 big hit apiece. A ball to Lombardozzi. Puckett's only hit tied the first game. Herbeck's only hit was a homer. And Brunansky and Gaetti have each gone wild.
Brunansky, one of those sneaky base stealers. He's 11 for 11 during the regular season. Lombardozzi can hit the opposite field. A guy who struck out 3 in this game, but not a strikeout pitcher, as you said. Will Kelly give us some action? Nope.
And that one is low and away. 2-0. The fact that Lombardozzi is a good defensive second baseman and turns the double play pretty well is part of the reason why the Twins traded Tim Tuffle. Tuffle, the much better hitter, and he had a terrific year this season for the Mets, but he was never particularly adept on the pivot. Lombardozzi gives Tom Kelly much more in that regard.
And if I said Brunansky's 11 for 11, he's stolen 11, been caught 11. He's just 50%. But it'll show you how Kelly likes to run. Even with a guy who doesn't have speed, he keeps him moving.
He's going on the 2-1 pitch, and Lombardozzi tried to shoot it to right field, but fouls it off.
Kelly, who pitches batting practice every day, and he did it again today in the off day, he does it for a reason. He said Sparky has his way of getting away from the media, even though he loves talking more than I do. Sparky goes out in short center field, pretending he's watching batting practice. When he's had enough, he said, I throw batting practice. He says, that's my thing. Kelly was out before the ball game with Rennick, looking at all the soft spots, as we told you. So Rennick will know, because of Kelly, when to send the guy, when to not to. And he wants Rennick to be very aggressive coaching.
Kelly just signed that new one-year contract, big raise, but a big part of the negotiations, and this is one of the reasons why he's so popular with his people, he demanded that his coaches all receive raises, and he wouldn't sign until they did. And he got the job done. All the coaches will be paid more in '88. There goes the runner again. He jammed him. It's popped behind Evans, who got a late start. This might drop in, and it does. Now, wait a minute.
Coming back.
It's Alphonse and Gaston. They're going to get Brunansky at second base. Do you believe it?
No base hit. Brunansky is going. The infield was broken up. Evans couldn't get back, and then the decoys by the veterans. Trammell and Whitaker, who went down like they were going to turn a double play. Look at Brunansky, never picks up the ball off the bat. At that point, Whitaker and Trammell are decoying. Even if he hadn't been caught coming back, he didn't retag. Now he says, let's go back again. Mosby had a situation like this on a steal where the teams decoyed him, and Bruno's hung out to dry. It's what happens when you don't look over that shoulder in a hit-and-run situation to pick off the ball off the bat. What a break.
Man.
That's first and third right there if he picks the ball off the bat.
Butera, bunting for a hit rather than to sacrifice, rolls it foul.
And that almost looked like a bunt and run, because Lombardozzi was almost in a delayed steal situation, and he started off the bag, and Butera thought he could break up the infield and bring him in.
One out, one on, 0-1 to Butera. And there goes the runner. There's a slow bouncer up the third base line. Brookins' play has to be to first. And Lombardozzi is in scoring position with 2 out. Tell you one thing, Brunansky has made it to the Albert Achievement Awards Hall of Fame with that one. Looked like a vaudeville act.
It's the thing they worked on more than anything else in spring training. Bunting and base running and picking up your coaches. They thought this young team that the Twins have, they've got about 3 guys who, Herbert came right from A-ball, Gaetti from double-A ball, and they learned on a big league level.
Gladden had a walk in the first, subsequently was thrown out stealing. In the air to center, Lemon back a couple of steps. Puts it away. A peculiar but unproductive inning for the Twins. And on we go at Tiger Stadium. He'll laugh about it someday. Well, it happens to the best of them. Robbie Thompson, who's in the other series with the Giants, was decoyed on a play at second base during the regular season where they made him think the ball had gone through to center field. He came off and they tagged him out. And look at Brunansky. They've got him faked. The ball has already fallen in safely. And instead of at least first and second, and maybe had he seen the play all the way first and third, it's a force play, no base hit.
Well, part of it was the decoy by the veteran middle infielders. The great base stealers, the Vince Combs, Lou Brock, Maury Wills, Joe Morgan, they just took a beeline, didn't pick up the bag, so they wouldn't lose any time looking over their shoulder. But then they pick up the third base coach who would give them directions. But Brunansky should have been looking over his left shoulder.
Sheridan steps in. And a strike to him. Neither team has a hit as we move to the last half of the third. This one is hit down the left field line. Gladden chasing it, won't get it. Quick pickup. Sheridan wants a double, and he runs well, and he's in there. Gladden had one thing in mind turned as he took off in pursuit of that ball. He knew he couldn't catch it, but he wanted to get to it and come up with it quickly to prevent it from getting to the corner. And with a slower runner, he might have held him to a single or thrown him out at second. But Sheridan got out of the box quickly.
And also another difference playing on the soft grass after the rains and the field being torn up. Gladden not as quick on this. The ball sticks a little bit. All it would have gone to the corner. Sheridan finally listening to Veda Pinson. Alex Grammas recommended to Sparky Anderson they should pick up Sheridan for his arm, his running speed. They were looking for speed. Harry the Hat Walker trying to get him to hit the left field, and he has gotten his 2 hits that way.
So it's the game's first hit, and Whitaker takes the ball. Butera trying to settle Straker down. Whitaker is very unemotional and at times almost uncommunicative. However, in the happy aftermath of the win on Sunday where they clinched the division against Toronto, Whitaker uprooted second base and presented it to his buddy Alan Trammell. Here's the 2-0, swing and a miss. And Whitaker wrote on it to Allen, 1987 MVP. Congratulations, Lewis Rodman Whitaker. We'll see whether it is Trammell or Bell when the votes are counted. The 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Straker walked 2 in the first.
Straker's thrown a few very good sinkers in this series, but they're out of the strike zone. And the disciplined club this is, leading the league in walks, aren't going after those bad pitches like they were at times in Minnesota.
Well hit, base hit. Sheridan will be stopped at third by Alex Grammas. Brunansky has a very good arm, and with nobody out, they'll be content to have runners at the corners for Evans. Something else about Tiger Stadium, in addition to the fact that Brunansky is a good right fielder with a strong arm, it's a little bit shorter out to right field, and so it's a bit like, not quite as extreme, but a bit like left field at Fenway in that the outfielder is closer, the ball gets on him faster, gives him a better chance to throw a runner out or hold him to a single base.
Many right fielders here just play almost to the warning track. Anything up in the air is going to go over your head. You're not going to get, but you want to get a good start coming toward home plate to try and throw somebody out. He stepped off, no ball.
Rookie pitcher, veteran hitter, tight spot, bounce foul.
You can see the smartness of some of these hitters now that they're back here. Looking to the right field fence. Whitaker knew he had to pull the ball, at least get Sheridan to third base with no outs. Evans now, you can see him turn the top hand over, try and hook the ball, and try and get the ball in the gap through the right side with Herbeck holding the runner on. A lot of good situation hitters on this team. Experience does that for you.
The 0-1. Gibson on deck and then Trammell. Tigers looking for a breakthrough in the third. No score. Two and one. Sheridan, who doubled, is at third. Whitaker, who singled him to third, is at first.
Evans does not have any running speed to speak of, but he rarely hits the double plays, only 2 all year long. It's a fly ball hitter.
And he's got Straker just where he wants him. He can sit on a single pitch here if he chooses.
Exactly the count that Whitaker had him at. 3 balls and a strike. And the possibility that that man, Sparky, could start Whitaker in this count. If you do that, though, you might have Evans go after a pitch a little bit out of the strike zone. That would be one of the reasons that you might not want to start him. But Sparky's trying to get his team more aggressive and get him going. He may start him.
The 3-1 pitch, but first a throw over. Evans at the plate led the American League with 41 homers in 1985, had 29 a year ago, and then became the first 40-year-old to top 30 this season. Pops this one back, it's out of play. Evans had 34 homers and 99 RBIs.
Straker's most effective fastball so far today has been the one that's been four seams. Usually his sinker ball, when he can throw it for strikes, is his most effective fastball. But you could see that last one to Evans, he was a little late on it.
3-2 pitch. Held up and they're loaded with nobody out. For Kirk Gibson, who's just 1 for 9 with 5 strikeouts in the series.
Going to get some activity for Tom Kelly.
Between them, the 3 and 4 hitters in the Tiger order.
Dan Schatzler, the left-hander, pops out very quickly. The little left-hander they have in their pen.
Those 3 and 4 hitters, Gibson and Trammell, are a combined 2 for 18 in the series thus far. Bases loaded, nobody out. Fouled off.
You could see the bat dragging again for Gibson, and that happens the same as a pitcher when he opens his left shoulder. The arm drags, or similar to it anyway. When Gibson's right shoulder pops out, the bat drags, and he's late hitting the ball back in the strike zone. He knows what he's doing. He just can't snap himself out of it.
Kirk Gibson has never hit a grand slam. Racing over Gaetti. And it's a couple of rows in. To Gibson. Sheridan at third, Whitaker at second, Evans at first. Again on 0-2.
A fastball here that so far they've got him out with mostly fastballs thus far in this series.
Usually up and in. On his hands. 1-2. A bouncer toward the hole. It's backhanded by Herbeck. He gets the force, and that's all. But Herbeck continues to excel with the glove in this series. A run scores, 1-0 Tigers. Runners at first and third now, 1 out.
Even though this Tiger team does not have a whole lot of team speed, they don't hit into a whole lot of double plays. Toronto Blue Jays known for having outstanding team speed, hitting more actually during the regular season than Detroit. That's what you call hitting in situations. And now with Trammell up, the guy who's a possible double play candidate, Granansky showed us how he can range to his left. He's shown us his arm to throw home, or rather Herbeck, home to get a player in this series, and now he ranges to his right. You could see some action right here instead of a double play with Trammell up. And Gibson on the move.
Straker saw Trammell off his last time up. Got him to hit one back to the mound, which he turned into a force play.
You've seen the difference already. Straker pitching from behind on the count. 3-1 Whitaker. Base hit to 3-2 on Evans. He walked him. Gibson, he got a hit 0-2, and he had a weak grounder off him.
The runner is gone. Butera unloads, and Gibson is safe. He had a good pitch to throw on. It was up and outside, so he was able to spring out of that crouch, but Gibson had a good jump. Whitaker at third had no thought about coming home, so they move another man into scoring position.
Kirk's stolen base total would probably have been higher, not that he had a hamstring pull near the end of the season, had the slow start with a rib cage injury, and he just stole that on Straker, who was focusing on the main man, Trammell the hitter. You got first base open, a guy that drove in over 100 runs, but you've got Matt Noakes back right behind him today.
Two on, one out, 1-0 pitch. Sheridan doubled, Whitaker singled, Sheridan moving to third. Evans walked to load the bases. Gibson hit into a force out, a run scored, then Gibson stole second.
Infield back, they're going to try and prevent the big inning. Even concede a run on that little ground ball in the infield. Would like to get out of this with one.
Did he balk?
Yes, he did.
He balked.
Sparky popped out of that dugout 6-7 steps, saw the ball as he started to go into his stretch, and then stopped. Boy, Sparky was out, and Sparky said that late lefty Phillips as a kid taught me that what you watch for in every ball game is that never take your eye off the pitcher. Sparky bolted out of the dugout. At least 3 umpires that I could see, arm went up and called the balk instantaneously, so the kid got rattled.
We told you that he balked 5 times during the regular season. The rest of the Twins staff combined had only 2 balks.
Watch it. Foot on the rubber. Right now, the runner on third base was jockeying just a little bit. Watch his glove hand and the ball hand, as they are doing a lot of sign switching. Everybody popped out, and I'm trying to think. It's almost imperceptible. Let's see from this angle. He's doing a lot with the baseball behind his back. He was nodding his head, but so many times a veteran pitcher can get away with those motions with a foot on the rubber. Don Sutton might shake signs up. Did he call for the nod of the head?
Now the infield comes in, and Trammell hits one softly over that infield for the 3rd run. Ground out, a stolen base, and a balk, and it's 3-0 Tigers.
You know, that ball call was all but imperceptible, and if they called it for the nodding of the head, which a lot of veteran pitchers do to shake off signs, change signs, all kinds of things, it was splitting very fine hairs right there, folks. You know, almost before the balk was called, out of the corner of my eye, I see Sparky Anderson bolting out of the dugout from the top step. I don't think he actually called it. He may have influenced something.
Interestingly, Kelly really didn't argue. Such went out to settle Straker down. That was really borderline. think it's possible that before the game, Sparky put that thought in Drew Cobal's mind? Hey, watch Straker. Take a look at the way he does this.
I've never seen a manager bolt out of the dugout and something like that from the top step. Was that premeditated? I guess that's what you're saying, the same as me. Whether there was a talk or not, Sparky was out of the dugout like a shot. 4 or 5 steps into the dirt surface. I don't know if the umpires could have seen that, but it was an interesting call.
2-0 now to Noakes. Trammell at first, 1 out. 3 runs home. And this one's popped up. Gagne wants it. Gagne has it.
Here's what one of our cameras got. Sparky going back to the dugout after he'd bolted out almost before the balk was called by the umpires.
And he's talking to a veteran pitcher, Doyle Alexander, who might have helped him to spot it, although Sparky doesn't need that much help as long as he's been around.
There's Sparky. He's showing Doyle what he did. Doyle's probably, I don't know if Doyle's saying, what did he do, Sparky? What did you see? Sparky's not going to admit it, but he may have pulled a psych job right there.
Pitch out, and Trammell isn't going anywhere as Lemon steps in. Chet got the Tigers out in front early in game 2 with the long homer off Blyleven. But Morris couldn't hold the lead.
You just had a pitch from Straker, which to me was more of a balk than what he did before. Didn't stop at all, went right in his delivery. Not even a pause. Came to the bat, went right home. Rushed into his delivery.
High 3-0. Schatzeder continues to throw in the Minnesota bullpen.
With Bergman's left-handed bat up, knowing that Schatzeder may come in to face him, Sparky may give him the green light 3-0. Well, he's taken.
Walked him on 4 pitches. Straker has never pitched a complete game in the major leagues, except technically that rain-shortened game at Kansas City. He's approaching 70 pitches. We're only in the 3rd, and Kelly says, all right, that'll do it. So an unhappy 28th birthday for Straker. In comes Schatzeder. We'll be back.
There are facts.
So Mr. and Mrs. Straker watching on television back in Venezuela. Proud of their son, but not the happiest outcome for him today.
He had pretty good stuff. He was behind on the count a lot today. Dan Schatzeder, who has struggled a good part of this year. Times he can have a very good curveball.
Herndon steps in when they make the move to the southpaw, and he'll bat for Bergman and assume the designated hitter spot. That's a strike. You saw Schatzeder's ERA over 6. Opposing batters have a combined batting average of around .330 against him. He has been pummeled. And he's the only lefty Kelly has in the pen. High. Two balls and a strike. Two on with 2 out. Trammell at second, Lemon at first. And this one is drilled. Fair ball. Extra bases. 1 run home. Let's see if Lemon makes it. Grandma says, come on. Gladden has trouble with it in the corner. It's a double for Herndon, and the Tigers are close to breaking it open. Series, home field advantage is like in a basketball or hockey playoff. It's not an edge, it's a huge difference.
slows down on the grass, which gives the runner out first a couple of extra steps, and then Gladden on a very tricky corner. Remember all the pads in Minnesota, the ball had dropped down and they knew how to play it, bouncing off the left field wall. Distance sticks there. Runner scores from first base. How do you get instant popularity? How about Larry Herndon, the final game of the season off Jimmy Key, 1-0. A great pitcher's duel. It's a home run, and now he puts the nail in the coffin of the Twins.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, just a little more. There's a lot more to go if they're going to get it.
All 4 of the Tiger hits in this inning. 2 doubles, 2 singles, 2 walks, a stolen base, a balk, an RBI ground out, and a fly ball to right center that should end it. Brunansky calls, puts it away, but the Tigers feel a whole lot better about themselves now as we take a look back at a very special Olympic moment. To Don Sutton for a second. Try and explain that balk to us, because it was really borderline.
I think it was really a tacky call, but I think what you will find in baseball is that any person who takes this stretch from a bent over position is more susceptible to calls like that. As you can see, it's only a slight movement of the head, if we could even spot it at all. Still hasn't moved.
Well, yeah, would an umpire have called
See, there he is.
Like this on you?
The head came up. Excuse me, Tony. The head came up just a second there. Now, a guy standing upright is not going to get that call, but a guy who has been over starting his stretch, any movement looks like the beginning of the stretch.
Okay, let me play the devil's advocate. So many times a guy stands straight up, and then he goes in the crouch to get his sign. That's a balk too, isn't it?
That's much more of a balk than what he just did.
Yeah,
but I think once you start crouched over, any movement, they're going to think that that's the beginning of the windup, and that's why he got nailed.
What about the question Tony started to ask? Would it happen to Don Sutton? Would it happen to a veteran pitcher as opposed to a rookie like Straker? What a combination psychologically. Respected veteran manager in Sparky who put the thought in Cobal's head, and a rookie pitcher like Straker.
I think that there are a lot of advantages to being a veteran ball player, and that's certainly one of them. I think the strike zone widens a little bit, and I think you can get away with a few things that a young guy's going to get nailed with.
You know, to take a little bit of the onus off Drew Coble, there were a couple of other umpires at the corners whose hand went up the same time, and somebody maybe at first base had a better shot of seeing Sparky coming out of the dugout than Drew Coble, who was watching the pitcher.
We'll never know, but I have to think that Sparky may have initiated the whole thing.
What really got the kid in trouble, Les Straker was going 3-0, 3-1, 3-2 consistently. That dug a hole for him.
Now Terrell has a 5-run cushion to work with as we go to the 4th. Gagne, Puckett, and Herbeck to face it. Ball 1. Trying to get something going. Those Twins' wives start up with the whistles. And as luck would have it, they're right next to our field microphone. 1-1.
You could see from that center field camera and from the naked eye, the hands and fingers flop up off the ball. It looked like a little bit harder palm ball. That's what he uses for his change. Terrell pitched for Steve Hamilton, former Major League pitcher at Morehead State in Kentucky. Steve also taught Baseball 101. That was one of his courses. I wonder if that's how Terrell learned the palm ball. Well, he really did.
Down the right field line, foul.
Hamilton also taught a course in pool playing down there. He's a guy with a college degree. It's a master's degree.
It's an easy 3 credits. I wish I could have signed up for that myself.
Terrell said one thing he didn't teach me was that little folly floater, that Ephus-style pitch that Hamilton threw.
Terrell was at Morehead State right about the same time as Phil Simms, the Giant quarterback. Gagne gets a hold of one. He sends Gibson way back, and it's out of here. Gagne, who hit 10 during the regular season, jumps on Terrell for the Twins' first hit and first run.
Bobby Eddie, the Tigers did not work out here yesterday on the off day. The Twins did. Right after the workout, Gagne went out to center field where there's a hitting cage with Don Baylor. The Warrior here, they threw the ball back out like they did in Minnesota, like they do in Chicago, Wrigley Field. But Baylor trying to get Gagne to get on top of the ball a little bit more, and he got on top of that hanging slider.
So here's Puckett, who struck out his first time and is 1 for 9 in the series.
Not unusual for this Tiger staff to give up home runs. Terrell gave up 30 during the regular season. We talked to you about Jack Morse, gave up 39.
Bouncer. Terrell has it. Score at 1-3 for the first out in the fourth. Terrell's got an extra edge today, as if he needs it with his home record. His hero, the actor George Peppard, called him in the clubhouse just before the game. Mitch Albom, who's a very entertaining columnist here in Detroit, asked Terrell yesterday if he could meet one person in all the world, who would it be? You know, a lot of people would say the president, the Pope, whomever. This guy says George Peppard. He says, I loved him with Mr. T in the A-team. Herbeck takes a strike. Well, they made about a dozen phone calls, press agents, folks out in Hollywood. They finally locate Peppard. A ball down low, and he calls him and wishes him luck, tells him he's going to be watching the game today. The 1-1 pitch. Our executive producer, Mike Weissman, suggests it was a cruel joke. Rich Little actually called.
You usually claim those lines for your own.
Not when they're that bad. Once again, we remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the contest.
Terrell overstriding just a little bit, and you'll see he'll slip and almost fall down.
Here's his 3-1 pitch. On the outside corner, Herbeck thought he had the free pass.
It's the pitch that if Herbeck gets, now that he's got this lead, it's going to be awful tough for this Twins team to come back on. Good sinking action, little running away, right near the outer edge, and he goes right back out there.
There it is, ball 4. Terrell has walked 3, and he struck out 3. Allowed only 1 hit, the Gagne homer.
The one thing the Twins have done all year long in their own ballpark is come back from deficits. But again, with that center field you're seeing there, a lot of these right-handers, because of the dome in Minnesota, become straightaway hitters. And straightaway here to dead center field doesn't help you a bit. Gaetti has admitted he had a couple of mistakes for home runs, and they were a team that took advantage of some mistakes. They really didn't miss many chances. Gaetti jumped on things, and that's a sign of a good team, the Twins.
Swing and a miss at a fastball. You know, for the past couple of years, shooting the breeze on the game of the week, whenever the conversation turned to underrated players, you and I agreed that Gaetti might be the most underrated player in the American League. Consistent power hitter, over 100 RBIs each of the last 2 years, Gold Glove third baseman. Now he gets a chance on a national stage, and he's seized it. That's another base hit for him. Didn't hit it hard right off the handle. But the Twins have first and second with 1 out.
Gaetti sneaked up on people. Remember, he had 230 his first year. He played double-A ball, jumped right up. Calvin Griffith and John Brophy, the farm director, then rushed some of these young kids, thought they were ready. Now they've made the adjustments, hit straight away, learn how to look for certain pitches.
Well, if Bush gets hold of one here, things could become very interesting. He hit 11 during the regular season.
And how things change when you're down by 2 games in a 7-game series. During the regular season, there'd be nobody up in the bullpen right now. But Sparky's got to get somebody up now.
Eric King, another former Giant, is throwing.
how it changes when you're really struggling to get back. 4-run lead, couple men on, 1 out. Can't afford to wait too long with it, Terrell, even though Sparky's bullpen has struggled.
Brunansky on deck. Two and one.
He's really having trouble. I don't know if there's a different hole dug on his home field mound by Schatzeder when he came in, a left-hander. If he dug it out, he seems to be landing, either overstriding or landing on a different slope, and he keeps losing his balance.
And this ball is whacked over Evans for a hit. Herbeck is waved home. They'll have runners at first and third. It's a 5-2 game, only 1 out, and Brunansky will become the tying run at the plate.
That's going to get Billy Muffet out in a big hurry. You know, I always have to defer to the wisdom of a future Hall of Famer like Sutton, and I wonder if this is what Billy Muffet is going to tell him. I would think that a sinker ball pitcher, breaking ball pitcher as Terrell is more of, many times they advocate a shorter stride so you can get a better angle on the ball and get the ball down. He's overstriding and sliding. It looks like things have started to ride high.
Let me ask you a question. Terrell is pitching on 9 days rest. He last pitched the final Thursday of the regular season when he went all the way here and beat Mike Boddicker and the Baltimore Orioles. Now, what, if any, effect does that have?
He could be too strong, and it's the old baseball adage, get a sinker ball early. He struck out 2 hitters in the first inning, which may have been an indication that he was throwing harder than he wanted to. Now he can't get the ball down and get the real big sinking action.
0-1 to Brunansky.
His stride is a lot shorter now. That, I think, is what Billy Muffet is telling him, or told him.
3 hits and a walk in the inning. Luckily for Terrell, the homer came first. Sidearm or 3/4 for a swinging strike. Gaetti is at third. Bush is at first. They each single. 2 runs are home in the top of the 4th. Brunansky is the big man because the bottom of the order is not that threatening. Lombardozzi and Butera. Brunansky can be fanned, and this is a situation where Terrell would like the strikeout or the double play ball. And Brunansky is a candidate for either. That missed. The 1-2.
Well, he's gone away twice. Down and away out of the strike zone, sidearm curveball. And if he's got Brunansky after 2 pitches like that leaning out over the plate, he may try and bust him inside. There is the length of the stride. Is it imperceptibly shorter? Perhaps. Better balance on his follow-through than when he slipped a couple of times.
Got in on his fist for a little pop-up. Trammell in behind Brookins. And a sigh of relief for Terrell.
Well, the 2 pitches before that set that baby up. He threw outside. He threw away into Brunansky's head twice consecutively. So many times, 1 pitch like that won't do it. Change a hitter's attitude at the plate. 2 pitches had Brunansky in a little bit more of a crouch, protecting away, and he snaps his bat off inside. So, although Terrell is basically and should be a low ball pitcher, you can see how he did get a hitter out with something upstairs because he had set him up for it.
Lombardozzi hit the ball that started the slapstick comedy back in the 3rd. A pop that fell behind Evans in short right. Strike 1 to him. But Brunansky, thinking the ball had been caught, came back from second, and it wound up being a force play instead of a hit for Lombardozzi. Colombo hit .238 during the year. A high chopper. In comes Whitaker.
That was
one
smart.
of two ways.
Smart. Oh, boy, he was going to tag him, and he saw the run was going to score, and he stopped from tagging him to get the last out, or that run might have counted. Good play by Whitaker. What thinking.
Tony, a terrific point. If Whitaker had decided to go with the tag, especially if Bush had retreated and gotten into a rundown, and if the last out were not recorded at first base, and if in the process the runner comes down and scores from third before the tag is made, well, that run's going to count. And Whitaker, realizing that, decided, I'll just take the throw to first base, and nothing can go wrong that way.
Well, when you saw Whitaker take that glance at home plate, the home plate umpire, Drew Coble, had lined himself up with the runner going to step on the plate and Whitaker and the tag, and it would have been so close whether he would have scored or not. Whitaker made a nice play. Just a little thing that could have cost the run.
The Tigers sent 9 men to the plate in the third. Sheridan was the guy who started it with an opposite field double. 5-2 last half of the fourth. Two and one. Schatzeder has been with Montreal, with the Tigers briefly in '81, then back to the Expos, and with the Phillies in '86 before bouncing over to the American League.
There is such a premium on left-handed relief pitchers. Sometimes it allows guys to hang around a lot longer than if they're right-handers, but he's always had such good stuff and shows such terrific flashes, but not much consistency.
The Twins have searched for a left-hander all season. Roller down toward Herbeck. Easy chance. But to find a good left-handed reliever, you got a better chance of finding Amelia Earhart.
Well, we mentioned before our first telecast, Steve Carlton might have been considered, except that one day for paperwork, they took him off the roster to make Baylor eligible for the month of September in the League Championship Series, possible World Series, and lefty sitting home in St. Louis. He pitched well during the stretch, but you'd like to have two left-handers in your pen at least against this Tiger team. And they start changing the lineup around.
Strike one to Whitaker. Well, earlier this year, the Twins had Joe Klink. They had Randy Neiman, who's been around. Neiman was with the Mets for a while last year. And they even signed Terry Forster to a minor league contract. He went to work at Portland, but eventually was released. Spun him away. Two balls and a strike. Do they give the school kids Monday off here in Detroit?
Whether they do or not,
postseason?
They'll take it whether they give it to them or not.
That's an excused absence in my book. 3-1.
They gave the kids off for Pope John Paul II, and Sparky took the morning off to go visit with them. I guess they'll give the kids off to watch this game on Monday. And another slow roller. Herbeck will have to get it over to Schatzeder. It's close, but they get him at first. Of course, that's assuming there is a game on Monday, that the Twins don't come back and win this one and then finish the Tigers off tomorrow. If Minnesota wins this 4 straight, it's one of the stories of the year in sports. Well, a lot of people picked Tom Kelly's team coming out of spring training for as low as 6th in the Western Division. I mean, they battled all kinds of adversity, but the thing they did, which is often overlooked, even with their record, which isn't the best, is they won when they had to. They took advantage of things when they had to. His personality let them do that.
Ball one to Evans. Darrell's walked twice. As you've mentioned, Tony, although Kelly's image, such as it is, and not that many people knew him before this week outside Minneapolis, his image is as kind of a colorless guy, but he has a very wry sense of humor. I asked him about his minor league career. He says, yeah, in 1976, I out-homered Eddie Murray at Rochester. I hit 18. Then as I started to leave, he said, Murray hit 12, but he was only there for a month. The 2-1 pitch. Hangs in.
Scherzer will throw one good snapping curveball, and then you see it'll just roll. And if you're a breaking ball pitcher on a day like today, with the cool weather, the wind, you can't get the little moisture in the field for it, and sometimes it's a lot tougher on a day like today. And tomorrow night it could be a lot worse.
Hit to center. Kirby Puckett almost in his tracks. And Scherzer works a 1-2-3-4. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. The Tigers took a little wind out of the Twins' sails with 5 in the 3rd inning, but the Twins came back with 2, and it's getting interesting. The view from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise overhead in Detroit.
Did that fella have his spinnaker up? Now that you're into boating, sailing?
I think that's a private matter if he did. Marv and the Fight Doctor, Michael the Silk Elijah Day, and Frank Tate next from Vegas.
What would you do without a great straight man?
Danny Cox tonight from the stick, Candlestick. Danny Cox versus Mike Krukow.
They had a couple things going there last night, didn't they, with the Cardinals coming back and Hackman Jeffrey Leonard getting hit. Next thing you know, you get Tony Pena getting thrown close to.
Butera hit just 171. Both Twins catchers under 200 for the season. Let me ask you this. When you were playing in the 50s and 60s, if a Jeffrey Leonard had hit 3 home runs and rubbed it in as he has by touring the bases over Brookins for a leadoff hit. Butera didn't hit it well, but he placed it very well.
It looks like Terrell's trying to work in that palm ball a little bit more, and that appeared to be up in the strike zone. Something off speed. I think it's the palm ball. Got it up. Remember the last time up, Butera faked the bunt. That may have kept in Brookins for that, and he may have just looped it over his head because of it.
Gladden with Gagne on deck. How long would it have taken for one of your pitchers to buzz Leonard?
First of all, it wasn't done in the 50s and 60s that you watched home runs.
You know who was one of the first to watch his homers? A guy universally well-liked, Harmon Killebrew of the Twins. He hit him far enough that he, I guess, deserved to admire them. To the opposite field could be trouble. No, Sheridan's going to get there.
That's why they wanted him. When Alex Grammas, we said before, told Sparky, we've got to get that extra speed, and he's the one who talked Sparky Anderson into getting Sheridan. And really, during the last month of the season, Sheridan was not a part of the pennant clinching of the East. It was Scott Lasater, a little left-handed hitter who plays the outfield well, throws well, made some big catches. So there's the great third base coach, Alex Grammas. He said, see, Sparky, it paid off. That's what I told you.
Gagne homered into the left field seats his last time up. Breaking ball hit in the air to center. Lemon's right there. And back to first is Butera. Kirby Puckett still waiting to break loose. 1 for 10 in the series. He tied Kevin Seitzer for the league lead in hits at 207. Seitzer of the Royals, who ordinarily would be Rookie of the Year, but for the presence of Mark McGwire, became the first rookie to get over 200 hits.
Tom Kelly,
in 23 years.
Excuse me, Bob.
Fouled off.
And Tom Kelly, to give Puckett a chance to do that, moved Puckett the last few games up in the batting order. Instead of hitting him third, he hit him second to maybe get him those extra couple of at-bats, and it really paid off.
Last rookies with 200 hits, both in 1964. Oliva of the Twins and Richie Allen of the Phillies. 0-2. Evans is playing behind the runner. Butera, no threat. 2 outs here. And they're not going to take the bat out of Puckett's hands.
Terrell, now that he's gone through the lineup a couple of times with the Twins, when he showed him sinker, riding fastball, slider, is now mixing in more palm balls. Billy Muffet was telling us just before Terrell warmed up, he said, you know, he's also got an excellent curveball, but right now he doesn't feel confident with it. We're going to start mixing it in next year.
2-2. Two runs, 4 hits, no errors for Minnesota. 5-4-0 for the Tigers. Top half of the 5th.
It almost looks, and is this the impression you get, Bob, as you watch Puckett's approach to hitting, like he's looking for breaking balls, because he continues to be late on that last Terrell fastball. And Terrell doesn't throw hard. Of course, when he's been throwing some palm balls, it's all relative, and the fastball looks that much better. But his bat is really dragging, and he's late on everything.
Well, the long-time book on him, his first few years in the league, dead fastball hitter. Maybe he's consciously tried to change and is guessing breaking ball.
Which with 2 strikes can get you an awful lot of trouble at times.
Sparky told me a week ago, his book on Puckett still is fastball hitter all the way. The way to work him, breaking stuff away, said Sparky, but there's some disagreement around the league about that. Butera goes and Puckett strikes out on a pitch that was probably high. So Kirby's struggles continue. 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. And we'll be back. Gibson, Trammell, and Noakes as we move to the last half of the 5th. 5-2 Detroit. Thought about dragging one, takes a strike. All 4 Tiger hits were bunched along with a couple of walks in the 5-run 3rd. And there's another base hit sharply into center field. The second hit of the series for Gibson.
And one of the few times in this series that Gibson's gotten the ball from Twins pitchers where he likes it. Down a little over the plate. They busted him upstairs so much or kept the ball away when he's pulling off. And this is right about down the middle low where he likes the ball more than anything else. Shot at center. Let's see it. Center field. Looked like he'd be down about the middle of the plate, and that's where Gibby likes to go down and get it.
Trammell had an RBI single as last time. 1 for 2 in the game. 2 for 10 in the series. Strike 1.
In the first 2 ball games, the Twins were so opportunistic. They scored 5 runs with 2 outs. None scored by the Tigers with 2 outs. The Tigers already have 2 in this ball game after 2 are out. So they're getting the hits today anyway when it counts.
Trammell starting slowly in this series in contrast to the '84 postseason when he hit .364 in the 3 playoff games against the Royals, then became the World Series MVP, going 9 for 20 with 2 home runs against the Padres. Herbeck holding Gibson, who stole 26.
Trammell's approach to hitting has changed throughout his career about 3 distinct times. He wasn't very strong, pecked away at the ball, was somewhat of an easy out early. Then Gates Brown got him, moved him way off the plate, learned to cover the outside part of the plate. Now that he's in the 4 spot, he's going back to right up on the plate, and he'll be selective in and out.
Called strike 3. Trammell makes a left turn and heads for the dugout.
Little tailing fastball as Trammell's trying to protect the outside part of the plate and just tail back in for Drew Coble and Dan Schatzinger. Keith Atherton loosening up for the Twins.
Used to be with Oakland. Noakes is 0 for 2.
Those are just some of the moves that young Andy MacPhail, the general manager, made. Reardon was the big one, of course. Tom Kelly was another big one, but he really went out and got the Beringers to help out, the Athertons to help out, tried to get some pitching from the left side. That's why they went out later in the season to get Steve Carlton. Went out and got Al Newman, add a little more speed, and maybe platoon at times at second base.
And a ball to Noakes.
Some say the biggest move in baseball this year in the American League. You've got to give Al Rosen an awful lot of credit for all the trades he made for pitching. It was made by Bill LaJoy when he got Doyle Alexander.
There'll be some dispute about the Cy Young winners, about the MVP awards, but I think the executives of the year are a lock. Rosen in the National, LaJoy in the American. They made the in-season moves that really turned the races around.
LaJoy got Bill Madlock. They struggled early against left-handed pitching. Then he went out and got Jim Morrison for further assurance against left-handed pitching. The Alexander deal was a cool. What they did also is their farm system. Whale Wonder and Sater helped them win a lot of games to win the East in September.
2-0 pitch to Noakes. Fastball at the letters. Well, you know, before the game, Drew Coble says, my strike zone is about from the waist to the knees. Well, he just gave him a letter-high strike.
2 balls and a strike. Not quite the automatic like some say the 3-0 is.
Two and two. But the point you made early is the one that matters about Coble, and Don Sutton agrees. He is one of the most consistent ball and strike men in the league. You establish a strike zone and stick with it. Doesn't make any difference whether it's a big strike zone. It's fair to all concerned, and the players get the hang of it.
We got another good one tomorrow in Al Clark. Another one of the best.
The 2-2. Full count, so. What do you do with Gibson?
Start him. Dick Trzewiski's going to probably learn him. Make sure he pitches. Don't let him throw behind you. I think he will. Sparky may think he wants Lemon's bat up there so he doesn't have a strikeout and a throw-out.
Noakes doesn't hit that much against left-handers. Gibson goes. And this one is hit softly down the right field line. It's a very long run for Brunansky, and he gets there in time. And
you probably see a good illustration of what Gibson did, but Brunansky did not earlier. Brunansky makes the catch. Remember, he got caught in the silly rundown when he couldn't find the ball in the decoy. Gibson took off, glanced over his shoulder, saw the ball in the air. Watch it. He's watching the ball off the bat. You don't need a coach. Brunansky needed a coach, couldn't find him, couldn't get help, and he was gone. Noakes had a pretty good curveball to hit. 3-2 and just got under it.
Lemon's 0 for 1 with a walk. He had a smash back to the mound on which Straker made a good play in the second. Pops this one back. Herndon is on deck. He batted for Bergman in the third and delivered a double and remains in the game as the DH.
That's where saving those inherited runners is so important. Sparky did put the right-hand hit up. There he goes.
And the throw from Butera. In there. Pretty good throw by Sal. But Gibson is in safely.
Second stolen base in the ball game for Gibson, and you see how much he means. He got a breaking ball. A little bit more difficult to throw off, but basically he just caught a rhythm that Schatziner was in. Maybe it's looking one time. It's a certain count, and so many base stealers will sit on the bench or even when they're on first base and actually count to themselves. What's his rhythm? What does he do? 1001, 1002, 1003, and he got him in rhythm and made it look easy stealing.
Two and one now to Lemon. Strong throw by Butera and a quick release. But even a perfect throw, even had it been lower so that the tag and the catch of the ball could have been made simultaneously, I think Gibson would have been in there. Change up is a strike, 2-2.
You know, Lemon stepped out for a reason. Everybody's got a satellite dish that they tape off and tape games and they steal signs. With Gibson down there, if he is flashing signs to Lemon, Lemon stepped out to want to make sure so he knows what Gibson, if he is trying to communicate, what he's trying to tell him. Not pitch, at least inside-outside location.
5-2 Tigers in the fifth. Did he go around on that? They check, and yes, he did. Al Clark with the sign at first. So for the Tigers in the fifth, no runs, a hit. Here it is. Yeah, Lemon went more than far enough. Butera had to eventually pick it up and tag him, and we'll be back. Significant anniversary in Tiger history. 19 years ago today, they complete a comeback from a 3-1 deficit. Mickey Lolich wins his third game of the series. On 2 days rest, he outduels Bob Gibson in St. Louis in Game 7. And that was when Gibson was all but invincible. He'd won 7 straight World Series games. This is the last out. Tim McCarver fouls out to Bill Freehan. And let the celebration begin. Mayo Smith was the manager of the Tigers in those days.
One of the most brazen moves ever made in the World Series history, taking a great outfielder, Mickey Stanley, who'd never played there before, played 7 games, never made an error, and I don't believe he ever played there again.
He used him over Ray Euler at shortstop, right? And thus they got Kaline and Northrup and those bats in the outfield. No DH back in those days. Herbeck to start it against Terrell in the 6th.
This right-handed staff for Spark Anderson is so good, making the left-handed hit the ball in the center field. You can see Rannon away, he's going out there again. Well, he went to the breaking ball. Interestingly enough, in the Metrodome, Herbeck took that pitch, the same pitch, low and away, and lined it to left center field and got a little more carry for a home run.
He tried to hit it down the third base line, but instead he hit it right at Brookins, who was playing him way off the bag, and that was Herbeck's idea. But instead, it was just a routine ground ball.
And that's why when you've got a veteran staff like they do, and of course a little help on the dirt and grass where the ball doesn't get through the infield so fast, they throw it where you want it. You can set your defense accordingly, and that's why the Tigers defense, even though they don't have the speed of the Twins, are still about as good on this surface.
His thought was if he could just poke one that way a little bit more toward the bag, he'd have an easy extra base hit.
He got fooled a little bit too, I think. He was pulling off, and it was a little bit off-speed pitch.
Gaetti lost one to right center. Lemon takes off and gets there at the edge of the track.
Don't get mad, folks in Minnesota, but in the Dome, that's an HR. Gaetti hit that ball as well as he did his 2 home runs there, and that's the difference again in this ballpark. The way the ball carries, not as well here, even though this is a home run park in the power alleys, but you better get it to 365 and 370 and not to that Death Valley near the center field.
And again to right center, where Gaetti has tremendous power. It is 2 home runs and his double at the Metrodome in that general direction. Here's Bush. Ball 1 to him. Baltimore both hit over 200 homers and yielded over 200 homers. First team that's ever done that. Cal Ripken's pitching staff was much maligned and with good reason.
Well, you said it early in the season when we did a Baltimore Orioles game that it's the people playing in the park and not the park sometimes, and that's what happened in Baltimore this year.
3-0 pitch to Bush.
Say a little bit of the same in Wrigley Field where the pitching staff struggled. And they got Andre Dawson, and they started zonking the ball all over the place.
Full count now. Yeah, you know, they talk about Busch Stadium being a difficult place to hit home runs, and it is. If you put the best power hitting club in baseball there, their total would go down. On the other hand, the total is made lower still by the type of baseball they play there.
You make a decision. Do you build a team around speed? Do you build it around power? American leagues, for most parks, build it around power. National League, more artificial surface, a little bit more around speed. I'm going to show you another little quirk about this grand old ballpark in right field. Sometimes you can hit a ball and it's 325 down the line. If it's high enough, you say, well, it only went 315, but it catches that overhang about 10 feet out and you get a home run in less than 325 feet.
That used to happen at the old Polo Grounds too in left field. You'd see a guy camped under a fly ball, and as he waited for it to descend into his glove, it would just nick that overhang for a frustrating home run. 0-1 to Brunansky. Ted Williams always said this was his favorite park to hit in, at least among the road parks.
Ask Mickey Mantle about it. Ask the late Rogers Maris and Norm Cash about this park. Ask Jim Northrup about it, all the grand slams. Ask Charlie Maxwell from Pawpaw. One thing in common, and that's just a few, all left-handed hitters.
How'd you hit here?
Hitting the first home run here, I believe. In fact, I think the first two. Sometimes I lie a lot.
The 0-2 pitch. This one is long gone. Gibson going back. Out of here. So Brunansky, who had had a difficult day on the bases and at the plate, brings the Twins to within one. And the wind didn't help that at all. No. That ball was really crushed, and because of the wind, it had to fight its way through and only got in by a few rows. When it first left the bat, I thought it was gone easy.
It's another one of the oddities of this ballpark. At this time of the year, like a lot of parks, the wind blowing in from the north or northeast. That's what it is today. If you get it way high above the stands, and that was hit so high and hit so hard, the wind killed it. If you get a little lower, sometimes it sweeps and it'll help it.
Well, what do you know? We've got ourselves a ball game. Evans into foul ground over near the Twins dugout. And that finishes it in the 6th. But Terrell watches another one leave on him. Gagne earlier, now Brunansky. And his lead is trimmed to 1. Talking to Don Sutton between innings, he said when this one left the bat, he thought it was bound for the upper deck. And Brunansky thought there was no doubt about it. He's already into his trot. But the wind killed it, and it barely cleared the fence. Gibson thought he had a chance to catch it.
Terrell has given up 4 walks now, and 2 have come back to haunt him. We talked about this ball club doing so well after 2 outs. The Twins, well, they did it again. 2 outs, a walk to Bush. Boom, 7 runs in these 3 games so far. The Twins...
It's 5-4.
The Twins have scored 7 runs after 2 outs thus far.
5-4 as the Tigers bat here in the last half of the 6th. The Tigers got 5 in the 3rd. The Twins get 2 in the 4th and 2 in the top half of the 6th. And Schatzeder trying to keep it close, and he's been able to do that job since Herndon came in and hit the double off him. He strikes Herndon out here. When Schatzeder came out of the bullpen in the 3rd, Herndon came on and greeted him with a double. And the Tigers increased their lead. But since then, Schatzeder has done what a long reliever's supposed to do. Hold the other guys in check and give his mates a chance to rally.
You can see when Schatzeder gets the good tight rotation and the hard breaking ball, it just keeps going. It's difficult to lay off.
And Brookins fouls it out of play. I got a feeling that a lot of casual baseball fans who had no particular rooting interest in the Twins or Tigers, the Giants or Cardinals, just people who like the game and have no special allegiance, have kind of adopted the Minnesota Twins. They're a spunky bunch, and that atmosphere at the Metrodome captured everybody. And here they are, down 5-0 against a club that is generally thought to be superior. And instead of throwing in the towel, back they come.
Well, we've already seen articles in both cities, the Cinderella story, a team of destiny, and all kinds of corny stuff that comes out. And when you see what they've done to this point today, and what you expected over there in Minnesota, so they've been great there all year. And one of the advanced scouts, again, who should remain nameless, said, we saw this team finish the season in Kansas City. They looked like little leaguers. He said, we didn't know how to scout them.
Twins won their last one in 1970. They won the first 2 American League West championships after the switch to divisional play, 69 and 70. Schatzeder has now struck out 4 of the last 5 and 3 in a row. Sheridan bounces one toward the middle. Lombardozzi tries to backhand it and can't, and let's see how they'll score it.
And those are the kind of plays that when you come off artificial surface, you make, because you can glide after balls. You always get a ball that bounds up on the artificial surface. You get what they call bad habit artificial surface. And this caused him a problem. It'd probably be a hit, but again, he was jockeying like he was on turf.
No, they score at E4. The Twins made only 98 miscues this season, the lowest error total in the American League.
From the infielders I've talked to, they say they find it's easier from going dirt to artificial surface, even though it's faster, than the opposite. Artificial surface works quicker to dirt because you wait more on balls, you don't have good footwork. And with Sheridan's speed, of course, Lombardozzi, you know he's going to have to grab the ball and whirl as quickly as he could, getting out of the box as he did.
Whitaker now. In foul ground, Gladden is chasing after it and slips down. It would have had to have been a spectacular play as it landed just about a yard inside the barrier. But he never got a chance to try it.
When Dan Gladden's been in a lineup and he's had his leg injuries, this team has played the best ball that it's played all year long, but he's had injuries. And Tom Kelly knows what kind of spice he's added. The running speed, the defense, and that is high and on-base percentage as they'd wished in the leadoff spot. But he adds that little extra flair with that speed.
Working 0-2. Called strike 3. He struck out the side, and he struck out 5 in the last 2 innings. So since Herndon greeted him with a double upon his entrance, Schatzeder has been terrific. Back after this from your local station. Young Gene Larkin on Tom Kelly's bench, a product of Columbia University, the first major leaguer to come out of Columbia since Lou Gehrig. And speaking of the Lions, we know there aren't any NFL players coming out of there anytime soon. Being pounded by Tigers of a different stripe, 35-0 against Houston in the 4th quarter. So, when that one's over, they will have erased Northwestern's name from the record books, and they will own the longest losing streak in college football history. Here's Butera.
And this Tiger team, overwhelming favorites in most people's minds. Down, not a desperation game yet for Sparky, but they're down 2, and they got the nice comfy lead, and all of a sudden the Twins come back.
Butera with a hit, his second of the game. Gibson over to pick it up, and the tying run is on in the 7th. His last 6 starts at Tiger Stadium, Terrell has gone the distance. But he's wavering here. Butera coming out.
Pinch runner.
For a pinch runner. That's Mark Davidson, isn't it?
Another man on the farm systems can steal a base for you. Let's see if the speed was put in. And Gladden might want to bunt. He also can hit and run to play for a tie on the road at this stage. Will Tom Kelly do it the way his closers have gone thus far? Reardon and Berenguer, knowing Sparky Anderson's bullpen, which has struggled, you might be unorthodox and lay the ball down here, saying, hey, it's the confidence factor. My bullpen's better than yours, and we want to get in your bullpen. We'll take a tie no matter what.
5-4 in the 7th, swinging away, and this one is going to drop in for a hit. Davidson is on his way to third. Lemon's throw is to second. Runners at the corners, nobody out.
Terrell getting the pitch up for Tom Kelly's hitter with a pinch runner going first to third, so it's Rick Rennick talking before the game saying we've tried to teach our young players, and Davidson is that, to watch the angle of the ball off the bat. If it's to the glove side of that center fielder, in this case Lemon, you pick up a few extra steps. By the time he gets out, he's going to turn all the way around and try and get the ball back to the left side of the diamond, third, so you can got the extra 5-6 strides. So all the base running work with Rennick and Tom Kelly's paid off. Terrell did get a ball up in the strike zone again, tried to jam it, and he fought it off the other way.
If the Twins come back and win this, what a tip of the cap will be due to Dan Schatzeder. The first man he faced, Herndon, doubled in 2. So he allowed the 2 he inherited to score, and a 3-0 lead became 5-0. But since then, Schatzeder has faced 12 men, given up only 1 harmless single, and struck out 5. The runner being held at first. And Gagnew had a homer earlier, takes a ball inside.
And with Terrell's control going all over the place for most of this game, you got another hit-and-run situation with Gagnew. Out comes Sparky. He doesn't like what he sees at all.
There have been comebacks from larger deficits than this in World Series history, but in the history of League Championship Series play, and that just goes back to 1969, there has never been a lead larger than 4 runs overcome. One of those instances, of course, was last night when the Cardinals did it to the Giants. Terrell had a 5-run lead. Henneman is coming in as it's down to 1. Sparky let Jack Morris go the distance, which in the case of the visiting Tigers turned out to be 8 innings in Game 2, despite the fact that Morris yielded 6 runs. So his bullpen has logged only 2/3 of an inning. Hernandez couldn't get the job done in the first game, and you see that Berenguer and Reardon and today Schatzeder have done the job for Tom Kelly.
And with a sidearm sinker ball pitcher on the mound, a 1-0 count, Gladden's speed, Gagney's bat control, you could have hit and run. You could have a bunt just to prevent a double play to get runners in second and third. Not a squeeze play with a runner on third, but a lot of things going in the Twins' favor in this situation right here.
5-4 in the 7th. Gladden stole 25. He's the runner at first. Tiger infield concedes the run. They'll be happy to get the DP and minimize the damage.
Not third base, though. Brookins just might come home to shut that run down, unless... We'll find out unless what.
It's hit to Brookins, but a tough chance. High throw. They got him. Drew Coble delays the call just to make sure that Noakes was able to hang on to the ball.
And I'm not sure. In fact, I know it's not a good play for the kid off third base. With 1 out, you want to come home to prevent the double play. Right here, where it's double play is impossible on this slow hit ball almost. And he gives himself up, and now the double play is still in order, and nobody can score on the sacrifice fly from third at this point. So this is not the best way to run bases. He was given instructions by Rick Rennick what to do. Nice play by Brookins, throws over the top of the runner, and that'll show you another veteran play. Brookins, who they've tried to give the job away to many people. Darnell Coles last year started struggle. He flips the ball over the top of the runner, and that was premeditated. He comes down and blocks out the catcher. He knew he had to loft a little bit. That's an outstanding play by Brookins, and not too good by the runner coming off third base, Davidson.
Not only wasn't the decision a good one by Davidson, he didn't get a good break either.
With one out, you come and try and keep the inning alive. Nobody out. You got to think a little more.
Now Puckett, who hit .332 for the season, but is 1 for 11 in the series, and has struck out twice in 3 trips today. Now they need a hit to tie the game. And this one is popped wide of first. Down the line goes Evans into foul ground. Makes the catch. The runner tags and makes a beeline for third, and they throw over there, allowing Gagne to move up to second.
Well, the 2 middle infielders were in a pickle there, to say the least. The entire right side of the diamond is open because Whitaker and Evans are throwing the ball. So that meant that Trammell had to make a decision. Do I go to second base? Do I get in cutoff position between second and third? And then, when it's caught, the first base runner, Gagne, who is the smartest base runner on this team, as everybody has told us, reads Trammell very well, knows what's going on. And Trammell in a spot, and they're at second and third now.
And they'll walk Herbeck and take their chances with Gaetti with the bases loaded.
And this is why, as smart a base runner as you think you are, and Gagne is the best, you say, wow, if I just thought one step ahead, I wouldn't have taken the bat off Herbeck. So there are a lot of things to factor out. If he stays there, they're not going to take this left-handed bat out of his hands. So what looked like a smart base running move, second thought, you might say, wow, what did I do?
Gaetti with the bases loaded. He had 2 homers in the first game. He had a big double in the second game. He's 1 for 3 today. His last time up, he drove one around 400 feet, sending Lemon to the edge of the track in right center. Sparky's best out of the bullpen.
Sinker, slider, forkball.
He's got Eric King and Mark Thurman throwing now down there. And it's Henneman against Gaetti. Bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the 7th. It was 5-0. Now it's 5-4 Detroit. Hit for Gaetti. 1 run in, 2 runs in, and it's 6-5 Minnesota. On the 5th hit of the series for Gary Gaetti. Well, Sparky did the logical thing, but it backfired. He walked Herbeck, and Gaetti hit one softly into right for a 2-run single.
The Twins' hitting has been uncanny in situations with 2 outs. When they need it, they get it, and it's a sign of a bunch of young pros when you can do that. Gaetti picks up Gagne, who went second after the intentional walk.
Nothing has worked for Sparky in the first 3 games. What is it Casey Stengel once said? It's like I told my barber, shave and a haircut, but don't cut my throat. I might want to do that myself. This one is lofted to right center. Sheridan will be there. But Gary Gaetti turns Sparky's logic to lament. It's the biggest comeback in League Championship Series history if it holds. 6-5 Twins as we go to the last half of the 7th. The 1987 American League Championship Series is brought to you by the Industrial Tool Division of Black & Decker and by Buick. And again this year, as it has for 85 years, the Great American Road belongs to Buick. The series thus far belongs to the Twins. And watch Henneman's reaction as Gaetti goes to right field. The pitch was on the outer edge. He goes with it, and look at Henneman. The lead has evaporated.
Teams that are winners pick each other up, Bob. Davidson coming in. Wasn't a mistake. It might have been Gagne going to second. But what does Gaetti do? Pops one. Foils the percentages of Sparky Anderson. Tim Laudner behind the plate. For all the maneuverings by Tom Kelly.
Davidson ran for Butera, so Laudner in to catch. Evans fouls it back. Evans, Gibson, and Trammell in the last half of the seventh. And Berenguer, who closed the game and opened some wounds the other night with his theatrics on the mound. That irritated Sparky Anderson, and Berenguer apologized for it. Said, I wasn't trying to show my former teammates up. I was just exuberant. The 1-1 pitch. Three balls and a strike to Evans, who has walked twice and flied to center. Full count. They're making a lot of noise now at Tiger Stadium, trying to stir their ball club in the last half of the seventh, but the mood is not so much festive as it is desperate. They dropped the 2 at the Metrodome. They jumped on Straker for a 5-0 lead, but Terrell gave it all back. The 3-2. Out. Hit it. And of course, if it hadn't, it would have walked it.
Twins bullpen now struck out 12. Reardon that first day struck out the side in the last inning. Berenguer came in and struck out 4. It's been a very effective pen, but that's not a good start for Schatzeder. Tom Kelly just checked with Dick Such, who was on the telephone of the bullpen, probably to ask Stalmazek, the bullpen coach, what kind of stuff does Berenguer have? Is he throwing strikes? Is he ready? And that, all those factors will determine whether he's going to make a move right now.
He knows that Gibson was one of those Berenguer blew away the other night.
He's had enough. He's just pushed himself. Now, he'll go against the percentages right here, only because Schatzeder got him to the point where he wanted to, even though the percentages are the opposites. It was an interesting thing, as we just saw Sparky and now Berenguer. We'll tell the story when we come back, how they appease their difficulties between each other.
Berenguer and his old manager, Sparky Anderson. Juan was a member of the '84 World Champions. And if you were with us on Thursday night, you saw him go through the Joaquin Andahar act, firing the gun at the hitters he had fanned, making that gesture with the fingers, all pumped up. And his explanation to Sparky was, that's just what it was. I was excited. I didn't try to show you or your ball club up. His own manager, Tom Kelly, who's a veteran baseball man and doesn't like that kind of showmanship, said that he himself was a little embarrassed by it, but how are you going to hold that kind of exuberance in check? All right, here's Gibson. And a fastball is high.
Almost every one of these Twins pitchers, almost without exception, has a lower ERA in the dome than they do on the road. That 90-mile-an-hour fastball in the dome looks like it's 95 with the lighting conditions. And it's a little different here. And you see it out of the pitcher's hands. You can see the seams, and you can react quicker. And we'll see if that'll be a problem for Berenguer. He still threw that first pitch pretty hard.
Straker is a distant memory. He's off the hook. Schatzeder, who was excellent in long relief, could be the winner if Berenguer holds on. 6-5 Twins. 2-1 to Gibson. Trammell on deck and then Noakes. No team has ever trailed a playoff or World Series 3-0 and eventually won it.
You can see the difference now. He still looks like he's throwing fairly hard. Maybe not as hard as he was the other night in the Metrodome, but you can see how much quicker Gibson is. He's just seeing the ball better. You can pull his fastball that far foul. You're seeing it right out of his hand. It's maybe a fork ball. Yep.
It was something off speed.
It was a fork ball.
Him out of there.
You could see it coming. That's the pitch that he has to have when a team is stacked with left-handed hitters. You can only sit on that 90-mile fastball with 2 strikes, and you can't look for anything else, and he made a great pitch.
Gibson has struck out in half of his 12 at-bats in this series. He's 2 for 12 overall with 6 strikeouts.
And the Twins' bullpen continues that high strikeout-to-hitter ratio.
Trammell's 1 for 3. Berenguer, the Panamanian Express. Hide the women and children. Two and 0. There are few in the game who vent their anger as Kirk Gibson does. On the inside corner, 2-1. Struck out the side in the 9th in game 2.
What Berenguer was asking was, can I blow in my hands while on the dirt surface? Well, he's been given permission, but if he puts his fingers in his mouth, it's going to cause him a problem.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Trammell.
That's permissible. If he puts his fingers in the mouth, it'll be called a ball. Happened to young David Wells with 6 brilliant innings, a left-hander from the Toronto Blue Jays on a Friday when he relieved.
The 2-2 pitch is popped up. Lombardozzi. Trammell tosses the bat aside in disgust. 2 out.
Berenguer does not look the least bit frightened against in front of this hostile crowd.
I think he's thriving on it. Here's a guy who had to come begging almost. Signed as a free agent. His career was in jeopardy. Now he's got a chance to pitch under these circumstances.
You just saw Tommy Kelly doing a little traffic copy, putting the outfielders way back, make sure that they're way deep.
For Noakes, who hit 32 home runs this year, 29 of them off right-handers.
2 outs, you don't want a long base hit to score the runner off first base. That's why he moved them back.
1-0. The thing about Berenguer, Kelly gets him into the game when it really wasn't hanging in the balance. They had the 3-run lead. The Metrodome crowd pumps him up. He gets that tremendous outing under his belt. Now he comes in a tight situation, but with great confidence built from that opening outing.
And when Berenguer came into the other ballgame the other day, he didn't think he was going to pitch the 9th with Reardon up and throwing well. Berenguer thought he was going to leave. Tom Kelly and Dick Such decided he was throwing the ball so well and with such confidence, and he was so hyped up, they let him finish. So it's got to be a comfort right now to the Twins that he can go a ways, and you still got Reardon to back him up.
They may have set the stage for a great postseason for Berenguer. We'll see. The 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. Lemon is on deck. Berdozzi at second, back on the outfield grass. Brunansky just a stride from the warning track in right. Swing and a miss and a high hard one, 3-2.
3-1 off Berenger, geared for just one thing. Berenger talking to Herbig said, I see it, 3-2, 2 outs, move behind, I won't throw over. And Noakes swung at a bad pitch. He was sitting on a fastball, got it, swung at a bad one. Look at Herbig still guarding the line to keep Noakes from getting in scoring position.
Fouled off, and Evans has to come back.
And even with the left-hander Noakes up, Gaetti was right on the line at third base.
Reardon gets up in the Minnesota bullpen. Go ahead, run it first. The youngest manager in the majors has had the upper hand thus far on Sparky Anderson, who's won 7 division titles, and Reardon begins to throw in earnest.
And what Tom Kelly does not want to do right now is bring Reardon in the 7th inning unless he absolutely has to, because there's no off day. There are 3 consecutive games played here now.
Lemon. Strike 1.
You push Reardon too far, too long, you have a chance that he'd be less effective tomorrow or the day after. You can lose him completely for tomorrow, and that's why Dick Such and Kelly converse constantly.
Berenger working to Lemon, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. Chet is 3 for 9 with a home run in the series.
It's interesting, Bob, how inner defenses and outfield play change, especially the inner defense in that. You were just a man on first. They were guarding the lines, taking the double. But now, with the runner on first and second, Gaetti and Herbig move back more toward the middle of the diamond to play their normal position, because the base hit now, they want to keep that other run from going to third if they can and prevent that hit. Their normal positioning now.
The 40-year-old Evans at second is, of course, a slow runner, but the ball won't get to the outfielders as fast on natural grass as on turf, and with 2 outs, he should get a good break. Here it comes on 0-2. Look out.
He got one great fork ball over to strike out Gibson looking. He just tried to get Lemon, but it rode inside to him.
Laudner hangs out the sign. Berenger says yeah. And here it comes. 2-2. Herndon is next.
He doesn't start throwing some strikes. Kelly may be forced to do what he doesn't want to do. Bring Reardon in the 7th.
6-5 Twins. 3-2. Now any hit to the outfield will score Evans for sure. An extra base hit might bring Noakes around. Might. Sparky's Tigers don't have a hit in the inning. Evans was hit by a pitch to start it. Noakes walked with 2 out.
Lemon's going to try and freeze Berenger, let him think a little bit more.
Off they go. And it's popped up. Gaetti will drift into foul ground. And the Tigers are frustrated. Through 7. Twins 6. Tigers 5. Berenguer's reaction as Gaetti squeezes Lemon's pop-up. Yeah. Coming up after baseball, the much-traveled Marv Albert will find himself in Las Vegas. Michael the Silk Elijah versus Frank Tate. He'll be joined by the fight doctor. Then he'll join us here in Detroit tomorrow night for the pregame show. Henneman in the top of the 8th works to Brunansky. Ball 1.
That's from a 7th place hitter.
His last time up, Brunansky homered off Terrell. He hit 32 during the regular season. 1-2.
It's one thing Tom Kelly's done with his lineup. You know, there's some managers might have believed that you stack your 3 worst hitters in the 7, 8, 9 spots. Get them out of the way. You know, if they contribute, fine. But he has done a little differently. He's taken Brunansky to break up that pattern and put him down in the 7th spot.
Back to the mound, Henneman. Guns him out.
Also in making up his lineup, he puts a Gaetti, a right-handed hitter, a Bush, a left-hander, then a right-hander. So if they want to try and bring a pitcher, it's a little bit more hard to get the percentages in your favor for 3 consecutive hitters. So Tom Kelly learned a lot of this on his own. There's Don Baylor, part-time hitting instructor. Leva really is the big one.
Lombardozzi takes a ball to restate what the Twins might be on the verge of accomplishing here. They would have been 5th in the American League East. Tigers won 98, Twins won 85. Only one team since divisional play began with fewer than 90 victories has won the playoff. 73 Mets against Sparky's Reds. On the road, the Twins played .358 baseball, 29 and 52. In fact, they closed the season with a 5-game road losing streak. And they were down to Terrell, who had won 11 straight here, 5-0. They have come back to lead 6-5. Just as in the first game, they beat Alexander. And in the second game, they were able to beat Morris, who had never lost, in Minnesota. And Alexander had come in with a 9-0 record, and the Tigers had won all 11 games he had started after they acquired him from Atlanta. So what do the percentages mean to Tom Kelly and the Twins? Nothing, apparently. The 3-1 pitch. Full count.
We think that Berenger will leave the ball game now because with the jacket on, just as pitching arm, Reardon very slowly walked down into the dugout, which probably means he's coming in.
And a 1-out walk for Lombardozzi.
Berenger up the tunnel in the runway, maybe the clubhouse where it's a little bit warmer, where or Reardon rather, where he's not going to cool down.
Alongside Sparky. The Greek had the great comment in the last week as they were battling with Toronto. He said, boys, it's 85 or 5. $5,000 share for finishing second. A strike to Lauderdale. 85,000 if we go all the way through and become world champs. But the Twins stand in their way. Do they ever? Gladner's first at-bat since replacing Butero. 1-1 to him.
Laudner trying to shoot the ball the opposite way through the gap. Who's basically a pull hitter. And a big home run year in the minor leagues over 41 years, but he has struggled this year. But you can see him shuffling his feet to try and keep his stance closed, to try and inside out the ball.
There goes the runner, and it's bounced toward third. Brookins in, plays to first, low throw. Evans dug it out.
Tom Cali just keeping the inning alive. Starting a runner, double play ball with Laudner running. Gets another crackdown with Gladdy with a man in scoring position by starting. He's not afraid to try things. Tom Cali is really something. The things he set out to do when he took over the ball club, he has implemented. He's had him running more. See if this one pays off.
Gladden's hit was part of the 2-run seventh his last time up. 0-1.
You could see what Gladden was trying to do off a sinker ball pitcher who wants to run the ball down and in and get the ground ball left side. He stayed closed up with the shoulder and the left foot to try and get something away where he can go the opposite direction.
Henneman went 11-3, chipped in with 7 saves. Fine rookie season for Sparky Anderson. And did they ever need it when the rest of the bullpen all but collapsed?
Split-finger. That's the residue of San Francisco Giants manager Roger Craig when he had some looks at Henneman in spring training camp. A few rookies contributed for this team. We've mentioned Whale Wonder and Sater late. Jeff Robinson had some good stretches for them. Matt Noakes.
One pitch. 3 balls and a strike. Noakes is another one with a season more than good enough to be Rookie of the Year. Most years. But he, like Seitzer, will have to take a back seat to Mark McGwire with those 49 homers.
We're going to get to Gagnon. The count where it is, 3-1. No sense a young pitcher, rookie pitcher, making a mistake. If you've got a veteran out there, and Sparky knows this, if it's Doyle Alexander, Morris, Terrell, he might have said, hey, look, I can trust this guy that he'll throw the ball out of the strike zone, make the guy swing at a bad pitch, get himself out, but with a rookie, Sparky will take the pressure off him. Just walk him.
Gagney's 1 for 4, had the homer in the 4th. He hit the ball to third, on which Davidson was thrown out at the plate in the 7th. Part of the bat goes one way, the ball goes the other. Bad shipment of wood, I guess.
At the workout yesterday, he and Lombardozzi were talking about the new bats they got. He said, man, middle infielders who are light hitters don't get the kind of wood we've got. Hard as rock, look great. He said they usually send the good lumber. The Fabulous Four, the sluggers. He's surprised by this. They thought they had good wood. He says, is that one of the benefits of postseason play? Get iron in your bat?
With the new lumber, he stands in 0-1 and wraps it foul.
Thurman, Eric King throwing for Sparky.
As they have been for a while. With 6 outs left for them, they'll send up Herndon, Brookins, and Sheridan in the last half of the 8th. The 0-2 pitch. Hit into center field. Lemon started back. Now comes chugging in. gets there for the basket catch. Fooled on it off the bat. And they nearly gave the Twins another run. But Chet caught up with it. Berenguer is done. There he is, seated alongside Tony Oliva, and on comes the bearded one, Jeff Reardon.
He comes in to save this, and he's been the big difference in this team this year, as we've said time and time again. It could give Tom Kelly the luxury of giving those big two, Viola and Blyleven, the extra day's rest. Start with Necro tomorrow and take a 3-zip lead. American League Championship Series.
Here's who Sparky has on his bench in case he decides to make a move. Grubb, the only left-handed hitter available. He's got Heath, the extra catcher from the right side, Morrison, the former Pirate, and Bill Madlock. But Madlock has a swollen left hand that's really been bothering him, and how well he can swing the bat is a question. Herndon wraps one into left for a leadoff hit.
We're going to have a very strange pinch runner now. With the 24-man rosters, Jack Morris is going to come on to run for Larry Herndon, who's got a terribly bad knee. He's done this before.
Not only is it odd for a pitcher to be used as a pinch runner, but especially in the American League, where they don't bat, so they're seldom on the bases.
And again, how during the September stretch, like Jimmy Willis from Toronto, Sparky Anderson from the Tigers with the expanded roster, you'd had a Lou Sater, you'd had a Whale Wonder. There are all kinds of people to put in, but not now.
Here's the attendance, 49,730. They didn't quite sell it out. Some empty seats upstairs.
Gaetti in close.
Brookins takes a strike, showing the bunt.
More often than not, you would throw the high fastball in a bunt situation, try and get him to pop it up. But Reardon's situation is such with that real sharply breaking curveball, that could be an effective pitch also, and they'll be charging again. There it is.
Sheridan awaiting his turn.
Bill Madlock was talking after he batted against Reardon, the difference in Reardon from when he batted against him in the National League against tonight. He said he's got a much, much better curveball than he had then.
Takes it high.
See if Sparky gets tricky right now. 2-1. Let's Brookins hit because Gaetti is breathing right down his throat when he starts charging it. Herbeck is so agile. You'd like to get him in the direction of Herbeck. He's got to wait. He's going to bunt again.
He takes a strike instead. Now with two strikes, do they take the bunt off? And Coble and Brookins are really jawing at one another. Coble didn't take kindly to whatever Brookins said.
Drew Coble has been very consistent today. He's had a heck of a day behind home plate, but that baby right there is very, very doubtful.
No, not so doubtful.
5 inches, 6 inches below the knees, but that's where the strike zones drop now in the American League also, the inside protectors. It changes the situation with 2 strikes. He's going to probably hit away.
No, he bunts and he pops it up, and Herbeck makes the catch.
He had a double play right there. If Herbie could have thought, he thought of it, he lets that ball bounce, but he had a backpedal. He can short hop it, and he's got a double play, but it was a tough play. He did not know for sure he was going to get it, and he didn't know where Lombardozzi was.
Something else about this ball, going over his head He doesn't have it in front of him, as you just said, and if he does let it drop, it could have some crazy English on it and spin away into foul ground, so I think he probably made the right choice.
Exactly. He couldn't get a position to smother that son of a gun. You're so ever on the ball.
Sheridan drives one to deep right, way back. It's on its way, and the Tigers have the lead. The field is being showered with all kinds of debris. Sheridan took the curtain call. And he's a guy who was a forgotten man in September. The rookie Scott Lusader was playing in his stead because Sheridan wasn't hitting a lick. And only because Lusader was not eligible for the playoffs did Sheridan get back in there.
The irony of all, as you said, a guy who was benched, who they said, you're pulling the ball too much, hit the other way. Here comes the pinch runner, Morris. So he scores a run in postseason play. And what does Sheridan do? Pulling the ball too much? Yeah, pull the ball, got it up in the air, and you just see that fastball better in these conditions than you do in the dome. And that's why, as we've said before, ERAs of the Twin staffs much higher on the road, daylight, and even under the good lights at night than in the dome.
Kelly has watched Reardon save 31 during the regular season. And, of course, he wrapped up the first game in this series by striking out the side in the ninth. But he has blown 9 saves. For save opportunities. Look at this. Hello, room service. Can I have a fastball up right around the letters, maybe a little beneath, heart of the plate? And if you give it to me, I think I'll know what to do with it. I'll send it into the upper deck.
Remember how soon Jeff Reardon left the bullpen, and when the 8th inning got a little lengthy, the top of the 8th, he hadn't thrown for quite a while. He got his 8 warm-up pitches to a single to Herndon. Brookins popped up a 2-2 fastball. A reminder from Don Sutton sitting just to my right. Perhaps Reardon didn't have his real good stuff because he sat there too long and didn't elect to stay in the bullpen and continue throwing to stay loose. But again, in this cool weather, that's just speculation.
And now those few fans who persist in throwing the Go Tigers placards out onto the field are being booed by the rest of the crowd here because they realize it'll just lead to more of a holdup.
Was it a couple of years ago that the president of the ball club, Jimmy Campbell, closed that entire section in center field because of the rowdyism? And the people drinking too much. Commissioner Peter Ueberroth has a big campaign going on in all of baseball to stop the champagne spraying post-game celebrations, to get sections in baseball where there's non-alcoholic, but they're a little bit excited in this case.
They are intoxicated only by the moment, which Sheridan provided.
If it stands up, how unlikely heroes are made in postseason play.
Whitaker 1 for 3.
And what you're seeing right now, again, if the Tigers lead holds up, you push Reardon a couple of innings, what happens tomorrow and the day after? And with the swing right now again in the score, what happens to the pitching rotation tomorrow?
If he'd won this one, Kelly almost certainly would have gone with Niekro tomorrow. Now we wait and see. It's Tanana for the Tigers. Here's who the Twins will send up in the 9th. Puckett, Herbeck, and Gaetti.
Postseason play is always electric, League Championship Series style, because of what at stake. You've always got the extreme emotion. Some respond well to it, Bob. Some don't do so well, players. Didn't know we could have the consistent emotion we had the first 2 games, but you probably haven't in this stadium, but you've had such a swing of emotions here. It's just been incredible, these 3 games.
Hit hard, but it bounces up for Lombardozzi, who throws Whitaker out. Herndon hit Reardon's first pitch in the left field for a single. Morris ran for it. Brookins, bunting with 2 strikes, popped up to Herbeck. But then Sheridan launched one into the second deck and right. And the Tigers, who had squandered a 5-0 lead, reclaimed the advantage at 7-6.
Some of it after a bunt backfired from Brookins, and then Sheridan picked him up like the Twins have been picking each other up.
Evans has flied to center, walked twice, and been hit by a pitch. The chant is Darryl, Darryl. And of course, it's a takeoff on what the Red Sox fans did to Darryl Strawberry, but they did it derisively during the games at Fenway. This is affectionate toward one of their heroes, Darrell Evans.
Yesterday at Candlestick, it was Ozzie.
2-1. For the first time in the series, the bullpen, at least the closer, did not come through for Kelly. Schatzeder did, Berenguer did, but not Reardon. 3-1.
And Reardon apparently feels he doesn't have the extra zip on the fastball after Sheridan turned it around the upper deck, and he's just gone to breaking balls to Evans now.
Walked it. Evans, who walked 100 times during the season, has 3 walks and was hit by a pitch that would have been ball 4.
And after just 3 bases on balls were given up by Twins pitching in the first 2 games, which really was a scouting report that was important. They've given up 7 today. He knows a team that has a high on-base average like the Tigers do, second best in the American League. You don't mind if they hit the solo home runs, but it's the walks that eat you up against teams like this.
What about the 9th for Sparky? Scott Henneman, but King and Thurmond are long since ready.
I think Henneman will come out, but it'll depend upon what happens with Puckett, because Herbeck's after him, and then we might see Thurmond, but that's a ways off yet.
Popped up. Let's see if it stays in. Lautner, it's on the screen.
You know, we showed those numbers, which are not very good on Kirk Gibson, but early in the ball game, ground ball, stayed out of a double play, stole a base, traveled a single to home. So it was only 1 run, and that was back in the 3rd, but that's what his speed means to this ball club. If he can get on, even though he's not hitting home runs.
1-1.
We talked so much in the rehab during these first 3 games about the difference at home and on the road of these ball clubs. The hitting is not that much different. They score about as many runs on the road, but the pitching is so different. They get a lot more runs scored off their pitching staff, the Twins, on the road than they do at home. And that's lighting conditions.
The 2-2 pitch. Chasing after it is Gaetti over near the tarp. Tough play. Does he have it? He does.
Oh, he's good, isn't he?
Oh, man.
So agile for a fairly big guy.
But a single from Herndon and a homer from Sheridan. They salute him as he heads out to play right field. It's 7-6 Detroit. The Tigers were on the brink of going down 0-3. And then Sheridan's shot into the second deck and right might have saved them. We'll see.
You think Harry Walker, sitting down in Alabama, former great hitter who they sent Sheridan down to get some hitting instructions. You think Harry isn't proud? If it stands up. If it doesn't, he'll still be proud. The hat.
Puckett's 0 for 4 in the game. 1 for 12 in the series. Henneman on the hill. Thurman and King in the bullpen. Strike 1. Puckett hit 28 home runs during the regular season. Pushes a bunt, but it's foul up the first base line and right into the hands of Wayne Terwilliger.
A little bit unusual in this situation. 1 run different, a guy who can pop the ball out of the ballpark, but he's 1 for 12. It was a big base hit that Puckett got, but he is smart enough to know that he's been scuffling, has been slumping, so instead of wailing away after that first futile swing off Henneman, he's going to try and get on a different way.
But now he's in an 0-2 hole with Herbeck on deck. The pitch. Hit softly to right. Here's the man of the hour. 1 out. Tate versus Elijah Day in the fight on Sports World next. And then game 4 of the National League Championship Series with the Cards in front 2-1.
Then Scully, Joe Garagiola, Mike Krukow.
Herbeck swings and misses.
And if Danny Cox's neck is right, he's starting tonight for Whitey Herzog. We want to look at the baseball. Herbeck did not like the action on that. He perhaps felt it was a little bit too hard to have been a fork ball.
If the Twins lose this, do they go to Niekro or Viola on 3 days rest? For tomorrow night's game 4, the 0-1 pitch. Had him out in front with the fork ball. One and 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Herbeck.
He's thrown at least 3 fork balls of the 4 pitches. He doesn't want to mess around with the slider. He might hang in. He can get in the right field seats. Another fork ball. Now what does he do?
He had him 0-2. Now it's out full. On deck, Gaetti. There's Joe Niekro alongside Don Baylor.
This will be an interesting pitch.
Breaking ball, wrapped down to Whitaker. Lots of time, 2 out. Herbeck reached for it. Thinking about pulling the ball, thinking about that porch and right, and he reached for an outside pitch. That might have been ball 4, although in fairness, it's an awfully close pitch to take on 3-2 in this situation. And when you reach for a pitch like that and try to pull it, you'll put a lot of 4-3s in the scoreboard.
And what he did the other night when he hit the homer in the left field, it was a different situation. He went with the pitch, hit it out to left center field. Today he said, hey, my chance is to reach the porch in right field, as you said. Henneman made an outstanding pitch.
Gaetti. Strike 1 to him. He has 2 hits and 4 trips. He has 5 hits in the series. His last time up, he had a 2-run single to right off Henneman.
Outfield deep, protecting the corners of third and first. Sparky Anderson playing the percentages with Gaetti up. Look at the defense. Look where Lemon is, near the 440 mark.
Everybody on their feet at Tiger Stadium, except Sparky. Two strikes to Gaetti. Henneman, who couldn't hold a lead, now has a chance to be the winner, courtesy of Sheridan's homer. If he can finish the Twins off in the ninth. 2 out, nobody on. 7-6 Tigers. 0-2 to Gaetti. The Tigers led 5-0. The Twins came back with homers by Gagne and Brunansky figuring in it. And then Gaetti's hit eventually put them ahead 6-5. Sheridan's 2-run homer last of the 8th makes it 7-6 Detroit. This one is hit foul, and the bat goes flying up the third base line.
A slider that was up but out over the plate. Gaetti, just like Herbeck was, trying to pull the ball and stay out of center field. He's already hit one very hard to center. That was caught very deep in right center. Could Gaetti be talking to Koba like Herbeck was about looking at the baseball?
He got it! Until Sheridan revived them, and so the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Pat Sheridan. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 in his name to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Whoa. The life of a relief pitcher. You do or you don't. He didn't today.
What a tremendous story that man is, Pat Sheridan. The man who's been the big closer for this team all year long, Jeff Reardon. He was pushed a couple of innings, which Tom Kelly did not want to do, and now what happens tomorrow and the day after?
The first thing that happens for Reardon, and he knows because he's been through it, he has to forget, because he can have the ball in his hand when it counts tomorrow night.
He can forget. Will he be too tired?
Nowhere to charge.